Welcome to PR Talk, sponsored by the PRSA of Oregon and part of the MPN, the Marketing Podcast Network. I'm your host, Amy Rosenberg, founder of Veracity and author of A Modern Guide to Public Relations. So you have reached the portion of the podcast where I'll be going over portions of my book, A Modern Guide to Public Relations. And so if you have any questions or want more information, you can either drop a comment below, or you could pick up a copy of the book anywhere they sell books online, if it's a major bookseller. And if you disagree with anything I'm talking about, or you have a better way to do something, definitely let me know. You can follow us on social. We're at Veracity Marketing on Instagram and LinkedIn. And you could give a comment. You could also tell us maybe you want us to cover something else. We are open to suggestions. Thank you for your support. Hi, everyone. So we have moved on to chapter 9, which is PR cheats. And a lot of you might be interested in hearing if we actually have any PR cheats, because this whole book and the industry is all about customization. Because if we can customize our pitches and our approach for every client and every campaign, we will have more success. But you might just be wondering like, hey, I don't really have time for all this. So there are two instances when you can, do a PR cheat. The two instances are when your information is very newsworthy, or when you don't have enough time or budget, because what are you going to do, right? Got to get the stuff out. So, and the reason why those are the only two instances is because there's no point in doing PR if it's not going to work. So if like you can't customize and it's not going to work, but you're still like doing a shotgun approach, but you haven't gotten any hits, you wasted time. Right. And client budget or your company budget. So those are the two instances. And how you can really do a PR cheat is doing a shotgun approach or a PR distribution service. And I will talk in depth about distribution services, but a shotgun approach just means sending out your pitch not customizing it. So going to a media list database and just doing a huge list, and you can email through to the list at one time through the service, ideally. And, you just search for whatever beat or topic that the reporter covers, whatever beat you think that would be interested in your story, and you build a list from there. And then if you could spend like just 15 minutes kind of segmenting the list out by outlet type. So kind of separating TV from radio and from print, then you can just quickly customize your pitch for each one. Or you might, it doesn't have to be a big deal, but like with radio, you'd say your listeners might want to hear about this. I don't know. And then you might be wondering, like, I don't have enough budget to handle all of the inquiries that might come in from this big campaign. So then you can use some kind of segmentation to reduce your list so that you can have a manageable time with the PR. So some ways to do that would be through location, or of course, audience reach, or like you don't need to reach out to just all the small outlets. You could only do larger outlets, and you can think about that in terms of like DMA, like larger areas, or unique monthly visitors, or domain authority. We always just look at domain authority. Anyway, so that's kind of how you can kind of customize or not customize. And I guess that's it. I mean, sometimes it is that easy, I guess. I mean, I haven't had a lot of luck doing that, but maybe it's maybe I'm not getting the kind of clients that I can do that for. And we just get the hard clients. So congratulations if you have a lot of clients that this works for. I'm always questioning myself, by the way, too. So if I'm ever wrong, just let me know. So now, okay, we're talking about PR cheats, and we are going to talk about the press release distribution system. Is that a PR cheat or not? Not really, but maybe if you have to. Okay, I could talk like maybe even for an hour about this now, maybe like 20 minutes, but don't worry, this will not be 20 minutes long. PR distribution services. So for anyone that doesn't know what they are, sometimes they are mistakenly called the wire. And this is where you just upload a press release to a service like PR Web or PR Newswire, and you upload this release, and all of a sudden, all of these hits come back. And it's like, oh, like it was in Yahoo News and like maybe even the Wall Street Journal and like SF Online, like totally random. And so, yeah, why wouldn't we just use those, right? They're actually not that expensive. We can get into all that. And a lot of clients still ask for them. But I've always been so confused by these things. We haven't done them for a long time in the industry for a lot of reasons I will tell you about in a minute. But why they are not good is because all the hits are essentially fake. I like still don't understand this. Okay, so it'll show you all of these hits, right? And I guess it'll link to the story. And it'll say like literally even like, I don't know if it was a big one once was like New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Yeah, there's a masthead. It's on wallstreetjournal.com or whatever it is. But then, and it's like, this is not really, is this really in here? No, not really. Because when you search for the story coming the opposite way, so not just clicking on the link, but going to the website of the media outlet, you cannot find the story anywhere, even if you put the story in the search bar. So to me, I think that that these websites must have some kind of reciprocal agreement with PR Newswire. So that's a bigger service to put those somewhere, but it's like hidden if you come in and search from the other end. I mean, that's just maybe an extreme example, but not really. I mean, we literally did this recently because a client, their partner wanted it on one of those things. And it's like, I got all these hits and I'm like, I'm just so confused. So then I went and we searched just to know what we're talking about. We couldn't find them. So I essentially say that these hits that you get are like shell companies. They're fake. It's like a listing that's like fake or something, like a listing online. And so, I mean, maybe that's an extreme. Well, it's a normal everyday example. An extreme example would be if the news actually got a hit, or that was a real hit. And if that is the case, it is because it's like real news, like from a real company, not just a BS press release. And so sometimes you would run something on these distribution sites if it's like real news that you think will actually get covered, if it's like talking about someone famous or from kind of a well-known company. But anyway, so you would do that, but you'd pretty much only always use the better service. So that is either PR Newswire or PR Newswire or Business Wire. And this is obviously, it's in my book, but it's also in, we did a really long blog post where we compared all of them and we have the costs. So those two that I mentioned, Business Wire and PR Newswire, those are like a little bit more expensive, like around $800, depending on, for one release, depending on what like options you check. But there's also a PR Web that's more like $250. But the PR Web service is total BS. It's like, it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe it does. So basically you're wondering, Amy, what are you talking about? If you don't know what these service things are, some media or newsrooms, just like the news at .com address, not even a journalist per se, newsrooms will sign up to get these like releases. And so do they look at it? I think one person maybe scans for the good one. So these PR Newswire or Business Wire, but for like the PR Web, like, no, nobody's really looking at that unless they're just pulling crappy content to have a website or something. I'm sorry. I'm like all over the place. I just don't get it. I'm one of the first to admit that I don't know everything. And I do know some PR people that use this. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Because maybe I'm really maybe missing something because it seems like such a sham. But we are talking about PR cheats. So if you want to cheat a little bit, use that. I mean, you had to ask your client to pay for it. I don't know how ethical that is, but it's not a cheat if it's a good story or a really good, well-known company or some publicly traded companies have to use it because it has to be like free information that everybody can have. So they put it on the wire so that everyone has access to this information, to the news. And so the problem with PR web is that, okay, so let's back up to like half a decade ago. Okay. Half a decade ago, let's just say, a lot of search people were using PR web to get links on Google, and it used to work. So the search people say, oh, just put it on the wire or the web or whatever. Yeah. And you would just get a link. And it's like, okay, I can do that. Right. But then Google caught on and started penalizing like a website that used PR web. Isn't that hilarious? So penalizing means that they're just going to drop you down in the search. So like your search rating goes down. So they would penalize. And now they don't do that anymore, but it's just a wash. So you will get a link, but it doesn't mean anything. Google does not count a link. Google does not count a link from PR web. So you're basically wasting money if you're on that one, at least PR web. Don't go on that one. If you have to go on one, you're sorry. You're just going to have to pay a little bit more to go on the good one because then it's not worth it. Now, another kind of confusing thing is people do call this the wire, but the wire in journalism speak really means like the wire that the press uses, not these are PR distribution services. The wire is like the AP, the Associated Press, where they will pull all of like good stories, real news, and put it on the wire. And what that means is that other outlets can take that. So you can pitch even a wire reporter, or I guess it'd be an AP reporter or like Reuters reporter. And if you pitch them, you have a better chance of getting in multiple outlets. So that could be huge. So you would pitch them just like you would any other media, if not put more thought into that. So if you really don't have a lot of time, you might think, oh, I really want to try and get in the wire, the real wire, because then it'll get more bang for my buck. So that's it. And then I will be back to talk about other PR shortcuts. Hi. Okay. So we're closing out the PR cheats chapter, which there's not a lot of cheats. So it was like the shortest chapter, unfortunately. So I'm just going to read through a quick list of like shortcuts. Some of them are kind of like tools or services. So first is HARO, or people call it HARO. I don't know. It stands for Help a Reporter Out. And I guess it's Precision now, so maybe you can't get it. We don't have Cision anymore. We switched to Muckrack. And that's a PR cheat, but I'll tell you in a minute because I'm not on that section. HARO. Reporters reportedly put in what they're working on into HARO. They say, I need a source for this or whatever. And you just sign up for these emails and it'll come in like one bulk of a bunch of reporters looking for stuff. It sounds great, right? I never get anything from it. I mean, we pitch it and then we spend time on it and we don't. I think it's worked like a few times. We actually, a few good times, but it's just like the amount of time that you put into that, doesn't seem worth it to us, but you can sign up for like different kinds of topics that you want to look for and everything. And being a firm that works with lots of different kind of clients, we have to sign up for all the topics. And anyway, it's kind of like if you're having a really hard time finding stories or pitching people, you could look at that. Google Alerts is something to sign up for so that you can kind of keep on top of not only your client news and what you're pitching, but also trends in the industry. Or Talkwater is also a kind of service that is good for that. And there's more in here. I'm not going to read it, but that kind of like tracking services. Moz is good to know what the DA, domain authority of a website is. So if you just sign up for the free version of Moz, and you just have to sign in and make sure the Moz browser is on your Chrome settings, then whatever website you're on, you can see the DA. And I judge people now by the DA. Sorry. It is what it is. And now moving on to media databases, which is a PR tool big time. Actually, Muckrack has DA as one of their qualifiers for websites, or for whatever we pitch, which is website based, which is huge, right? Like, cause that's what I care about. Like, I guess unique monthly visits, it's really hard to gauge. So we look at domain authority of a website. Anyway, so the like PR list building tools, so contact tools, are Cision, Meltwater, Muckrack, Agility PR Solutions. All I've used is Cision and now Muckrack. Muckrack seems a little easier to use. I'm still kind of muddling through it, but it has more to it. And it's a little easier, I think. But sometimes ease doesn't make things straightforward, if that makes any sense. And there's no way I'm going to explain what that means. Sometimes when you're kept kind of like in a bucket like Cision does, it keeps you a little bit, you can see what all's there. With Muckrack, there's so much there. I'm having kind of a hard time with it, but it seems like it should be really good. And they have really good customer service, and everybody else likes it. So, and Award Z is a free searchable it's free searchable database of business awards. Now, this was old. I don't know that it's, my book's a little old. You might want to check on Award Z. I don't think they update it, but I don't think the awards change because nobody is super creative when it comes to like creating awards. But those are, if you're like, oh, how did you know about like the best granola bar in town.com award? Well, it was from our Award Z, maybe. Okay. We also use whatnationaldayisit.com. This is where you can go, all those little days like National Cupcake Day or whatever. I mean, they have tons that are actually really important, like National Don't Be a Bully Day, maybe. Or like real ones like Breast Cancer Awareness Day, important ones. Well, bullying, you don't want to do that either. But anyway, you go to that and you search all of the days and see what fits for what campaign you're working on. And then you can somehow kind of spark some content ideas or PR ideas, just looking at the national days. I mean, I'll even forget a holiday, right? So like for Valentine's Day, okay, if I have something like a dessert or something, maybe I would want to know when Valentine's Day is. Now that's really basic, but okay. And then, guess what? My podcast is a tool. My podcast is called PR Talk. So subscribe and listen to it and let me know what topics you want to hear about, as long as it's not more PR cheats.
Thanks for listening. For more PR insight, be sure to check out Amy's book, A Modern Guide to Public Relations, at prtalk.co. Also, please subscribe, rate, or leave us a review.